Teacher, I'm not understanding the Tea Party or the Occupy Wall Street or the divided government very well. Can you explain it, please?
Of course, my student. What do you need to know?
Well, what exactly was the Tea Party?
5. Protest group whose members sometimes modeled themselves on the Tea Party of the American Revolution and objected to the rising federal debt, Obamacare, and most government regulation.
No, it's good.
The Tea Party started to form when Edward M. Kennedy died of a brain tumor in 2009.
Who was Edward M. Kennedy?
Kennedy served in the U.S. Senate since 1962, the fourth longest Senate career in U.S. history. He was Massachusetts senator that was American liberalism icon. In September 2010, between 70,000 and 90,000 demonstrators converged on the Mall in Washington, D.C. to protest the healthcare legislation and government spending. Some wore tricolor hats to symbolize their link to the original Boston Tea Party, carried signs that said, "Thank you, Glenn Beck," referring to the conservative television commentator who railed against Obama administration. Some, alluding to fears that the healthcare legislation would limit treatments, carried signs that said, "Pull the plug on Obama, not Grandma."
It says here in the book something about Sarah Palin. Who was that?
Sarah Palin was the Republican vice presidential nominee from 2008, and she adopted the Tea Party platform and spoke at its rallies. The Tea Party was a huge part of the Republican Party. In November 2010, with solid Tea Party support, Republicans took control of the House of Representatives and made gains in the Senate. But the Tea Party candidates were of a different sort than the older Republicans, not only more conservative, but also far less willing to compromise.
Why were they so upset with the government?
The Tea Party was fueled by fear about the debt, uncertainty about the economy, and anger at big institutions. Most of all, the federal government, but also corporations and universities, argued that the federal government should do no more than what was specifically authorized in the Constitution, and almost all of its members were generally distrustful of government programs, especially those coming from the federal government and those designed to help the poor or minority groups. They disliked government, but wanted their Social Security checks to arrive on time. They hated the new health care, but loved their Medicare cards.
Why were they so important in government?
The new Tea Party fueled Republicans' majority in the House of Representatives, brought the country to the brink of financial default, as they refused until the last minute to raise the nation's borrowing capacity. Standard & Poor's, one of the nation's leading auditing agencies, lowered the U.S. credit rating for the first time in history because of the government's seeming inability to deal with the federal.
Does that help you better understand the Tea Party?
So, like, the Tea Party was against the Occupy Wall Street?
Occupy Wall Street was a protest group that protested the rising level of student debt, the lack of job opportunities, and the fact that the economy seemed stacked in favor of the rich.
So basically, it was a response to the Tea Party?
Yes, it was. A new movement of students and other young people also emerged to near Wall Street in Lower Manhattan, and then moved into nearby Zuccotti Park, where they set up tents, a library, a communication center, and a kitchen, and a plan to stay. A Canadian publication, Adbusters, had been calling for just such a move, and by late September, it was a reality. Their rally cry was, "We are the 99%, to differentiate themselves from richest 1%, including the bankers who surrounded the in Lower Manhattan.
What else did they do?
There was a growing gap between rich and poor in the country. They condemned the huge level of college debt that many young people were carrying and the difficulties for a new generation in getting jobs. Movements were springing up all around the country. Occupy Los Angeles, Occupy Oakland, Occupy Denver, Occupy Boston, and Occupy Rochester. The Winter and following year, Occupy held rallies, meetings, and planning sessions. Neither Occupy nor the Tea Party was going to go away, and both would be forced to deal with. Governing a nation so deeply divided was proven to be difficult.
This is so much help. What can you tell me about divided government?
Divided government occurs when different branches of the federal government are controlled by different political parties. This is possible due to the separation of powers between the executive and legislative branches.
So, like, the Tea Party was against the Occupy Wall Street?
Exactly! Now you're getting it. One cause of the divided government is the difference in turnout between the presidential elections and the non-presidential elections.
Thanks, that was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, want to hear a funny joke? If the opposite of pro is con, then the opposite of progress must be Congress. Get it? Because divided governments.
That was clever.
That was lame.
I missed one.
Five.